All right, so we can cool here is with Mychael Gabriel. How you doing, man?
Doing great. How you doing, Ramsey?
Doing real good, real good. I just got to listen to the new track, man. I'm Adam. I love it,
Yes.
bro.
Oh, thank you, man. I so appreciate it.
So what's up with the title, man? Why are you Adam?
So, the single that album comes from is called Genesis,
Right.
and it's kind of loosely based on the first book of the Bible. When I decided to do an album, I didn't want to just throw a bunch of tracks together and say, okay, we're good. I wanted to have a theme, have a story. So Genesis is part of a biblical allegory, but it's also part my origin story. And so the reason that title comes into play is because you have Genesis, you have in the beginning, you have let there be light, and then you have Madam I'm Adam, which is kind of the introduction of, myself and humanity and all of that. And I thought, what better way to introduce that with a little bit of 1970s inspired rock and roll?
Got you. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
the whole time when I was reading that the album title is Genesis, I thought it was just a tribute to Phil Collins. So
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Do, 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 boom, boom.
nah, man, that's pretty cool. I really dig the sound, man. You got you're really unique. I like that a lot.
Thanks, man. It was cool putting it together, because it's an introduction. It's like my debut album. I have a lot of different musical tastes, and it was important, you know, to feature. It was a multi-genre album by intention, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And I wanted to have a little bit of the 70s inspired rock and roll, a little bit of the Minneapolis sound, and some contemporary and modern tones as well. And I'm really happy with the way that it all kind of came together. Um, yeah, because it could have gone the other way too, where it feels really disjointed and like nothing
Right.
matches.
I
When
hear
you
you.
when you say you're going to do a multi-genre album, a lot of people go, I don't know, maybe you should pick a lane. But I'm really happy with the way it turned out. It seems, to me anyway, it seems cohesive.
So with man, I'm Adam. Can you use Adam as like your alter ego there if you wanted to, kind of
I
like that?
guess. I mean, it could be anybody's alter ego. I mean, because it's like kind of a reference to mankind and in a sort of semi egotistical or overconfident way. Like, here I am and I'm gonna bring it with everything that I got. And I feel like it's just a good mentality to have in general, anytime you're facing anything in life. So that's the first couple tracks are kind of like that. In the album, because I wanted the album to ebb and flow in such a way that it kind of reminded you of a live concert where, you know, my favorite type of concerts to attend are ones where the act comes out straight out the gate, almost like guns blazing. And there's just like this hype, this sort of roar in the crowd. And you just feel the energy right away, straight out the gate. So, the first couple tracks, uh, I feel have that. And it was designed that way to kind of ramp you up and then it tapers off a little bit. And then we kind of bring you down. We take you somewhere else. Um, so I think Adam can represent anybody and everybody. I mean, you could say it's an alter ego of mine, sort of that. Uh, I'm generally a pretty private person, but Adam isn't.
Right.
He's like, hey, this is everything I got. Let's just let's roll with it.
So you could almost go for a David Bowie approach then if you wanted to, like, instead of singing
Sure.
Stardust, you're Adam this time on the next album, or you're the man on the
Right.
moon, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Well, so the next track, Radioactive Girl, is in reference to like Eve
Right.
from the yeah, if you're looking at it from like a biblical allegory perspective, like you can tie it in that way. You don't have to look at it that way, but that was just how I wanted to frame it, when I was structuring this thing. Like I kind of thought of it like a painting. And it's like, okay, I have this layer, I have this layer. Okay, what else am I missing from this painting? What other textures or splashes of color do I need to add? And it just kind of rounded itself off that way. And in a way, it was kind of like putting pieces of a puzzle together, and I'm looking at this thing and I'm like, okay, what am I missing? What am I missing in the sequence of tracks that I want to feel, because I think a lot in terms of emotion, even the emotion behind what I'm trying to do musically supersedes genre, supersedes like what instruments I want to include. It's still an organic process, but I'll sit in the studio and just kind of get into myself and say, okay, what do I want to feel
Right.
in this moment? And then, just whatever that energy is, like sometimes I'll hop on the drums, sometimes I'll sit at the piano, sometimes I'll grab my guitar, sometimes I'll just start with a vocal, and just whatever comes out. And I feel when you approach it, at least when I approach it that way, it's more genuine, as opposed to me trying to contrive something like artificial, like, I need to write a track that sounds like this. It's at least like when it's for my stuff, I want it to have that sort of organic element, because I feel like it comes across more genuine that way.
Now with the biblical themes on this album, you can hit the road with Striper this summer.
Right. Oh.
So what made you want to go with a themed album, and then especially this theme?
So my name is Mychael Gabriel, named after the two archangels. If anybody knows anything about that, there's like kind of a biblical tie into that. And I said, it just kind of dawned on me one day. It was like a revelation. I was like, huh, that would be kind of fitting, for a debut album. Genesis means origin. And with this album kind of being the first step in a larger journey, that would be the perfect title. And, what else could I tie it in that would make sense? Oh, the first book of the Bible, and so that's going to be, without spoiling anything, that's going to kind of be a theme for some of these my next future musical projects. And I feel like it just kind of fits pretty well, in that it helps give me a creative direction,
Mm-hmm.
and also gives the audience I love like hidden messages. I love allegories. I love, you know stories with double meanings, where, like, if you so choose, like, I mean, you can listen to it on the surface and go, okay, cool, I enjoyed that track. But if you want to dive a little deeper, you can go, oh wait, this is what he meant, or oh, this is the tie-in to this, and so, like, there's just a little bit, more to chew on. And I thought that was important. Like I said, I didn't want to I have a huge catalog of songs. I'm a songwriter, and I collaborate with some other artists. And, I have a huge catalog of songs to pull from, even prior to putting this album out. But I didn't want to just grab random favorite songs from that catalog and say, okay, let's just put them together on one album and say it's a record. I wanted it to feel cohesive and have a common thread throughout.
Now, Mychael Gabriel, that's your stage name, right?
It's my legal name. Well, my full legal name is Sir Mychael Gabriel Davison.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. So it's just like my first and middle name.
No, I was curious, like when you go ahead and you pick a name, like, how did you pick it? So yeah, cool. It's your middle name.
Yeah. 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 Exactly.
I guess you just didn't want to go with, Little Prince after your Godfather.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if that would go over well either.
Well, all the rappers do it. You know what I mean? You might as well
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
go with little Easy E there.
Right. Yeah. I guess that would be funny.
So you've always had music in your blood, then? I mean, you've been around it your whole life, right?
Yeah, I have. It kind of started before I was born. For those that don't know, Prince and Sheila E are my godparents. My father, Gilbert Davison, he worked with Prince as his personal security, and ended up becoming his manager and president of Paisley Park. My mom, on the other hand, grew up with Sheila E in the Bay Area. They got their first apartment together in LA. She became her lyricist and tour manager. So during the Purple Rain World Tour, my two parents met, one from Prince's camp, one from Sheila E.'s camp. And so I jokingly say I'm this Purple Rain World Tour love child, you know. Yeah. But music has always been a driving force in my life, you know, from the time that I was really young. You know, I was exposed to a lot of different things, from, you know, concerts to visits to Paisley, to Prince coming over to the house, to, you know, long visits with Sheila. And, you know, at the time when I was young, you got to remember, I'm just experiencing all of this through a child's lens. You know, I didn't realize that it was not the norm, you know.
Right.
And it wasn't until I was a little older that I was able to kind of appreciate the uniqueness of the situation and go, oh, this is not the norm. Prince and Sheila E are not everybody's godparents, you know? And so that had a pretty big impact on me and influence, just being around like legends and icons and masters of their craft. And thinking that that was just the norm, when it wasn't. And so my parents were really great about recognizing my interest in music and help fostering and cultivating that. We had a living room in the drum set. There were no hours of the day or evening where, you know, playing loud music was off limits. Um, and I quickly gravitated toward guitar, and then songwriting is where I found my passion. And so the next, you know, step in my personal evolution, as a young musician was I wanted to be able to take my ideas and translate them into something tangible, a recording. You know, I said, okay, this 8-track tape recorder isn't cutting it. All this tape is layer after layer recording these musical ideas is not cutting it, and it doesn't sound like these records that I love. You know, how are they doing this? So I ended up going to music audio production school here in Minneapolis, and I did a short stint over at Berklee College of Music for guitar. And then after that, I called Sheila up and I said, you know, hey, I think I want to do something in this realm as a career, you know, for the rest of my life. You know, do you think I could fly out to LA, be a fly on the wall in your studio, and just kind of be in the mix to absorb what this is all about? And she was very gracious and, you know, was even excited about the idea of me, you know, kind of entering this realm. And so I flew out there, and 1 to 2 months in, her ed engineer ends up leaving to go out on tour, because he was also a musician. He does a little bit of everything. And so she was without an engineer, and she said, you know, do you know how to run any of this equipment? You know, and I'm fresh out of school, remember, like I'm really, really green, and it's excited and eager and a little naive. And I was like, are you kidding me? Yes, I got this. No problem. Yeah, I
Right.
got, yeah, no thing. And, you know, I made some mistakes along the way and learned a lot, you know, especially in those early years. But that snowballed into an entire career for me, working with other artists and working in film and television. I've been working with Sheila now for about 20 years, and I've been her lead guitarist for about a decade. And we've toured all over the world. It's warranted a lot of wonderful experiences for me. So, yeah, I live every day grateful, excited for the future. And that's kind of what bring me to say I wanted to do my own album finally. You know, I've been doing this for other acts and propping up other artists and other projects, other bands. I said, you know, now it's time to kind of focus some of that energy and uh, do this for the reason that I initially got into it, which was songwriting and wanting to, you know, produce music for myself. And so that's what I did.
How old are you now?
36.
So you, in your teen years, you must have, you know, started realizing that your family is somebody important, right?
Yeah, a little. I mean, a little bit. I mean, we kind of. So I don't know if I've ever told this story. Sheila was in. I don't know. It was in town, or we drove to see her. I had to be about, I don't know, maybe 12 or something like that. And we went to visit her at one of her drum clinics. So what she does is, you know, she'll sit in front of an audience. Normally they're music students, but they don't have to be. And it's kind of auditorium style. She'll have a little bit of everything, some percussion, a drum set. She might have a small band, but she'll give a demonstration on like just what it is that she does, and the possibilities for it. Kind of sets a spark off in other young musicians. It's like, oh wow, this is obtainable, or this is inspiring or something like that. And it wasn't, I don't know what it was about that clinic, because we had seen her in other concerts and different things, but there was something about that clinic. Everybody lines up afterwards to go get her autograph. And somehow or another, myself and some of my younger siblings, actually, we all felt compelled to line up to go get her autograph as well. It's like we finally, like a light bulb went off, and we finally realized, it's like, wow. We call her Nina. Nina's amazing, which means like godmother in Spanish. She was like, wow, Nina's amazing. It's just like a light bulb just went off in that moment. And it's like, yeah, I guess our family is kind of special.
So I mean, everyone's seen the Chappelle show where he's done the Prince skits, right?
Yeah. The Charlie Murphy basketball skit in particular.
Now, have you ever sat there and watched it with somebody and been like, yo, it's definitely not like that. Like, that's my godfather. And they're like, what
Oh, no. No. So actually, the first time that I ever saw that skit it was when it aired. And so I was sitting in the living room with my dad, and you have to remember, like, my dad was there for, like, I mean, he was there. He was like his right-hand guy,
right?
For a long time. And so we're watching the skit, and there's only been a few times that I've ever seen my dad cry. And that was one of them. But he was crying of laughter. He was uncontrollably. And I'm watching the skit, and I'm watching it, and I'm laughing because it's funny.
Right.
But then I'm also laughing it because of my father's reaction. And after the skit is over, I asked him, man, you were laughing pretty hard. Like, what was all that about? He said, I was laughing because I was there. I was there for that basketball game. And so for those that don't know, there's a story that Charlie Murphy tells on the Chappelle show about Prince and Eddie Murphy and Charlie Murphy being at this club. And then, they meet, and then Prince says, why don't you come back to my place? And they're listening to music. And then eventually Prince says, hey, you want to play a game of basketball? And, the way I tell it isn't nearly as funny. So go check it out on YouTube if you haven't seen it. But Prince and his crew remain dressed in basically like what looks like stage clothes. And, they get athletic gear for, Charlie and Eddie, and they play, and Prince and crew just mop the floor with them. And like one of the funniest parts in the skit is afterwards, they had pancakes.
Right.
And yeah, so go watch the skit. But my dad, he was like, yeah, the whole thing was entirely true. It all happened. And it's just, you don't realize what you're a part of until you look back at it and you go, man, that was wild. Like, it was, especially hearing somebody else tell the story. It's like, again, not the norm.
Right. So now I've seen you played with numerous artists, and one of them that comes to mind is some of these hip hop guys here. I've seen you done some stuff with Snoop Dogg, Fat Joe, Wyclef, Killer Mike.
Yeah, I mean, I try to take something away from each artist that I work with, whether it's, a great experience, or, there's some challenges along the way or something. But one thing that I've recognized in all the people that I've worked with is that the ones with the most talent are also the most humble people you'll ever meet. And that made a huge impression upon me, especially early on. Like Snoop, like he is one of the kindest people, just kind of welcomes you into the fold. Like I've been to a studio a couple times, and him and Sheila have actually collaborated quite a few times as well. And he seems like your uncle or something like that. And he's just totally chill. Like it's kind of like what you see. Like what I like people that I feel like I have a connection with people that are just as genuine, in the way that they present themselves, when cameras are on and when cameras are off, but behind the scenes, behind closed doors. And he's definitely one of those cats. George Clinton is also one of those cats. I mean, Stevie is one of those cats. I mean, these are legends you're talking about. And so, there's a iconicness about them and a mystique about them. But they're all, I can say from firsthand experience, these are genuine legends musically and, on a human level as well.
Now, did you indulge with Snoop when you work with him or no?
no, no, I was working, man. So I try to keep it 100% professional when I'm working.
Now, has Lenny Kravitz ever came up to you and said, "Listen, man, you need to stop"?
You need to stop. Yeah. So many people have made that comparison. I actually haven't met Lenny. But I really do admire just his artistry and his musicianship, his guitar playing. He's definitely one of those that is an inspiration on so many levels. But yeah, I guess I'm waiting for the call. It's like, hey man, you got to step off.
Yeah, right. Maybe he'll just pass the torch. You know what I mean?
Oh, maybe. Hey,
So, you did some stuff for DreamWorks Animation. What project were you featured in?
it was I think it was Madagascar. Was it 2 and 3? Yeah, and a couple. I think Boss Baby is another one. I have to go back because we've done quite a few. They have a great team. And I think those were some of the ones that Hans Zimmer was a part of as well. And just their team is so efficient and so creative. There's so many people. I mean, all the names in those credits aren't there for nothing. Um, and you got to remember, like these films on an animation side and on just a general production side and on the music side, there's a lot of people that make that happen. And so it was really cool to kind of just be a part of a large team like that, and because of that, and they're so efficient, they do what they do so well. It seems so easy. Like it seems like, oh wow, this seems so effortless, but it's because you have so many people working in tandem, um, doing what they do best at their best level, and that's why the studio is so good at what they do. And I was just really excited to be a part of it. Some of the stuff that I've done, it depends on the project. Some of it has been more on the engineering side, on the more technical side, and other things have been on like the more musical side, or sequencing, this part in the musical sequence, or at recording these instruments or something like that. And so it's been a variety, but it's been cool.
Have you ever had your music featured in anything yet? Then,
A full song that I've written, no, not yet, but that's on my bucket list.
well, I mean, if you're back there behind the scenes, you might as well one day just sprinkle. So, what
Yeah.
perfectly here? This right here,
Hey, trust and believe. I have a catalog, for when that call comes in. It's like, I have the perfect tune.
Yeah.
Here it is.
I'd be sitting there at the office or whatever you're working at and just playing one of your songs that you think would fit in somewhere good and be like, man, I just can't stop listening to this.
Yeah.
Put it in their head.
Okay, I'm gonna put this out in the ether. I've said it a couple times, but there's a song on this album that I was like, this would be perfect for like some superhero movie. and it's Radioactive Girl. I thought if they ever did like a Spider Girl or Spider Woman movie,
Right, right.
like that would be that would be the perfect song. Or even like a Wonder Woman or a Captain Marvel or something. I'm like, that would be the perfect song. So any of you studios listening, just give me a call.
There you go. There you go. Well, the Into the Spider-Verse just came out, and the way it
I
ended.
know. Oh wait, I haven't seen it. No spoilers, but what was your opinion on it? Did you like it?
Oh, it was awesome, man. Me and my kid just seen it the other night. It was
Dude,
awesome.
that the when I saw the first one, I was blown away. I was like, man, the anime, I've never seen anything like this. I'm
Hmm.
like, these guys are on another level. This, oh, man, they really, really brought it. I say that's one of my favorite Spider-Man movies of all time.
Oh well, if you like the first one, this one was awesome. I mean,
That's what,
they threw some live action into it this time. There's
oh, cool.
all the
That
different animation aspects.
that is so awesome. Yeah, I'm thrilled. It's thrilled to go see it. I'm gonna see it next week where I'm leaving out for a gig today, actually, later today in Des Moines. So when I get back, I'm gonna come and see it.
Well, there's definitely going to be a third, and I think your Radioactive Girl can definitely.
Hey, yes, yes. So let's throw it out in the ether.
There you go, man, for sure.
Yeah.
So I see you got some gigs lined up. I mean, you're going to be busy all summer. What are you planning on?
Yeah, I'm busy all summer. I'm playing some local gigs. There's a band here locally that I'm playing with on July 2nd called Urban Classic. Features Michael Bland on drums. And there's a couple other local gigs that I'm playing. I'm constantly on tour with Sheila. So just go to SheilaE.com if you want to check out any of those tour dates. And you can find my tour dates on MychaelGabriel.com. I have one lined up here again locally at the Minnesota State Fair on August 26th and 27th. We're doing 4 shows between the 2 days. And I'm really, really excited about that because the live performance aspect is kind of the culmination of all of this, right? I've been chomping at the bit for months to be able to play these songs live in front of an audience. And so I'm so excited. So swing on down if you're around and just be on the lookout for many more dates.
Now, what size venue does Sheila still play?
Oh, it varies. It really does vary. I mean, even now more so than ever because the shows that feature her as Sheila E. Well, I mean, all of the shows do that, but the shows that feature her with Sheila E. is kind of we call it the large band. So we're doing large festivals of 40, 50,000 and up and whatnot, and venues from various sizes. But she just recently came out with an album called E Train.
Okay.
And so the difference between a Sheila E show and an E Train show is that an E Train show features Sheila on drums the whole show. And she did that by intention because, she has a sort of Latin jazz background, a fusion background. She'll be the first to say she's a percussionist that plays drums. She's not a drummer that plays percussion, but a percussionist that plays drums. And so she just wanted an opportunity to be able to do that in a more intimate setting. So we've done a lot of the city wineries across the nation, a lot of the Blue Note clubs around the world, and those are they're kind of more supper club, and it's by intention because she wants like kind of an intimate sort of experience, between her and the audience, where she can kind of share some of her stories on tour and just different things that she's experienced throughout her career. And it gives her a chance to kind of just, play the drums and just have fun, kind of be more the musician. She's still the front woman, of the band. We scoot the drums all the way to the front of the stage. This is kind of unique and cool thing to see. So if anybody has an opportunity to see an E Train show, don't skip it because, it'll be one of the few opportunities you get to see her just shred on the drums the entire show.
Oh, yeah. What I was getting at is, I assume she played, when she's Sheila, doing huge places. I just want to know what it was like balancing out from, playing 50,000 one day to, you know, playing a smaller local place when you're on your own.
You know, it's wow. It's always exciting, no matter the size. I will say it's probably harder to play for a smaller crowd than it is for a larger crowd. It really is. And I don't know why it is. I couldn't quite put my finger on why that is. Maybe like in the sea of people, it doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't seem as daunting for some reason. I don't know, like you're it's hard for your brain to calculate that many people anyway. So it's like, okay, we're here to play, let's just do it. And then, you know, the energy that you can get back from that crowd just kind of augments, you know, how you're feeling inside and makes you want to even perform better. You know, in a more intimate setting, you know, if it's like a smaller club, you know, it's harder sometimes. And I don't know, because like, you know, you're staring at the audience and you see those eyeballs staring right back at you.
Right.
Like, you know, and like if it's like, oh, you're not getting the energy that you want, like you're putting out, and somebody's like, oh shoot, I got a text on my phone. You're like, what do I got to do? A backflip? You know, come on, you know. But it's a great experience either way, and it's kind of in a more intimate setting, it's kind of fun, and you kind of accept it as a challenge to be like, I'm gonna get you on my side, and I'm gonna get you standing up out of your seat one way or another. And so by the end of the show, it's gonna be a party up in here. And so, and generally, you know, 9 times out of 10, that's exactly what happens, and it ends up being a great experience either way.
Yeah, I really like the way you put that. I mean, when you're playing somewhere that has thousands of people, there's no way to focus on everybody because it's so vast.
Yeah,
When you're
exactly.
in a club, man, you definitely, you know, you can see what they're doing. You know, if they
Right.
put their phone out, they're ordering a drink or whatever. You know, it's all in your sight right there. So yeah,
Right.
to
Yeah,
be like, listen,
exactly. It's a
stop the
different
set for
thing.
a minute and be like, God damn it,
Yeah. Right.
kick him out
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, awesome, man. I really enjoyed speaking with you today. I can't wait to check out some of the dates that you go on. Hopefully, you're going to be in my neck of the woods here in New York.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
I love the album.
We're actually playing Albany. How close is that to you?
I'm in
It's a
Buffalo,
Sheila
so
day. Buffalo.
couple hours.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll hit you up anyway and just jet over the information if you happen to swing by.
All right, boss.
Love
I
to see you there.
appreciate that, man.
Yeah, man.
Been a pleasure speaking with you.
Yeah, same here. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, man.
Cheers.
Take care of yourself.
Yeah, you too.